Make room for Javi.
Welcome to my Project a Day video, where I explain a project or tell a story each day for a year and I attempt to complete my shop. This is day 14 of 365, and today's project is wiring up the UFO lights number 7 and 8. And as promised, as a prequel to my Radio Shack days, I'll show you how I gained such an interest in computers at a young age. Certainly not young by today's standards, where kids are practically born with them in their hand, but considering computers weren't popular until I was in high school or college, it's fortuitous that I got into them in 7th grade. Growing up in the 70s, I loved Radio Shack. Every August, the new Radio Shack catalog would come out, and I'd be going to the store every day. Is it here yet? Is it here yet? Is it here yet? And when it came, the smell of a brand new printed catalog and those pages filled with the latest electronic gadgets would be a constant source of newfound knowledge and excitement for me. Whether it was a brand new hi-fi stereo with 8-track, a high-speed cassette duplicator, or any of the 1,000 electronic parts that I would use in my little electronic parts projects. I'd go to store 9713 in Westchester and see Dave, the manager. Now, Dave Good was an exceptional man. He was the manager at the Westchester store when the new TRS-80s came out. Ooh, I was crazy about those TRS-80 personal computers. When I was in 7th grade, I would ride my bike over to the Radio Shack. TRS-80 Model 1 just came out. It was 1977. I would hang out at that store for practically the whole afternoon until closing. I taught myself BASIC and started programming on the computer right away at the store. A couple years later, my mom took me to Birdine's, which is similar to a Macy's, and I was fascinated by the color TI-994. Wow. What a beautiful computer. Went on my Christmas list, and it was under the tree that same Christmas. Now, this was my freshman year in high school. While other kids are paying attention during class, or passing notes, or sleeping, I spent whatever spare time I had in and out of class with graph paper, drawing up cartoons and little animes, vector images that I would program on my TI-994. Summer break rolls around, and I'm with my parents at a hotel in Delray Beach. The owner's son had a most interesting computer, an Apple II. It had the same chipset as the Texas Instruments. It would do color, but it would do much more. You could pop the top off and put any type of peripheral inside that thing, from disk drive controllers to augmented graphics cards to RAM to speech synthesizers. It was a nerd's dream come true. Now, mind you, that TI-994, not the 994A. The 994 was the first Texas Instruments computer. It had a chiclet keyboard, and it cost $1,300 at Birdine's. The later TI-994A with the good keyboard cost considerably less. The Apple II was roughly the same price. On top of everything, Birdine's had a very lenient return policy. So before the next school year, I had swapped out that Texas Instruments for an Apple II. The next few years were absolutely a dream come true. I had a paper tiger dot matrix printer, 2 disk drives. Following Christmas, I ordered a 5 megabyte external hard drive. Wow! I had 5 megabytes of permanent storage for the low price of $3,999. I also had a text-to-speech synthesizer. The most fascinating thing about this text-to-speech synthesizer is that it used the TI text-to-speech chip in whatever apparatus Stephen Hawking uses to synthesize his voice. During the early 80s, I spent a number of years listening to that voice coming from my own computer before I even knew who Stephen Hawking was. Also, I got a digitizer card. This could take a standard video signal and digitize it. About that time, I got involved with Junior Achievement. Our particular JA group was sponsored by Florida Power and Light. The key with Junior Achievement is each business, sponsored by a different entity, would sell stock, 100 shares at $1 a piece, and with that $100 seed would get started and build a business. At the end of the summer, some would end up with a negative. That's where the sponsors came in just to cover the losses, and some would end up with a positive, which would go obviously back to the stockholders. We had created multiple projects. So circa 1980-81, I don't remember the year exactly, the Junior Achievement Organization rented an entire mall, at least before kiosks were popular, and each group would set up their own little business to sell for the weekend whatever products they had. And I had my camera and entire computer and printer set up. I connected my black and white video camera to the digitizer on the computer, ran my program, and anybody that paid a modest fee of $5 would have a printout in black and white of their face digitized. Certainly nothing more than a novelty by today's standards, but back then it was a cutting-edge novelty. I'm going to pause the story here as we're nearing the end of my video and continue with part 2 in a couple days, where I'll recount the early days of computer messaging before the days of AOL. Tomorrow I'm going to concentrate on wiring the vents and the shop roll doors. Thank you for watching. Feel free to comment. I enjoy reading them, particularly when they're pleasant. Please subscribe, and as always, have a great day.
Make room for Javi.